Welcome to our deep dive into Rohit's book, Soul of Sales.
Yeah.
You sent us a mountain of material.
Yeah.
So let's jump right in.
Yeah, definitely.
We're going to explore Rohit's unique perspective on sales, drawing insights from the book itself, and some really interesting commentary we've got.
Yeah.
Get ready for some surprises.
Yeah.
Because as it turns out, there's a whole lot more to selling than just closing that deal.
Absolutely. And I think what's really fascinating is how Rohit confronts these ethical challenges head on.
Okay.
He doesn't shy away from the industry's uncomfortable truths, you know?
Yeah.
For instance, he opens the book with this bold statement, salespeople are liars.
Wow, that's quite provocative.
Yeah.
Is he saying that every salesperson is out there to deceive us?
Well, no, not necessarily.
Oh.
He's not saying every individual in sales is intentionally dishonest.
Right.
But what he is highlighting is the immense pressure that the industry often puts on salespeople
Okay.
to hit those targets, sometimes at the cost of ethical behavior.
Yeah.
And he even shares some personal anecdotes from his brief time in door-to-door sales and debt collection.
Oh, wow.
So you can see those experiences really shaped his understanding of those pressures
Right.
and how they can push people to compromise their values.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it must be tough to be constantly worrying about hitting those numbers.
Yeah.
Especially when your livelihood depends on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Rohit identifies a few key factors that contribute to this dishonesty. One
Okay.
is that relentless pressure we just talked about to meet those targets.
Right.
You know, imagine working in an environment where your job security hinges solely on hitting those numbers.
Right.
It's understandable how even well-intentioned people could be tempted to cut corners.
I can imagine when you feel like your livelihood is on the line,
Yeah.
you might be making choices that you wouldn't ordinarily make.
Exactly. And then there's the lack of belief in the product or service being sold.
Okay.
So if salespeople don't genuinely believe in what they're offering, they're more likely to resort to deception.
So are you saying to be successful and ethical in sales, you need to be passionate about what you're selling?
Passion's definitely important, but it's also about genuinely believing that your product or service can help people. You know, it's hard to be convincing if you wouldn't buy it yourself.
Yeah, that's true. And so often, you know, like Hollywood portrays salespeople as almost ruthless
Mm-hmm.
and willing to do anything to close that deal.
Right.
You know, films like Glengarry Glen Ross and The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
It almost feels like they celebrate deception as like a necessary evil.
Exactly. And that can unfortunately perpetuate this harmful stereotype of salespeople being inherently untrustworthy.
Right.
But it's interesting how Rohit contrasts this with a film from India called Rocket Singh, Salesman of the Year.
Oh.
Now, this film actually champions ethical sales practices,
Oh, okay.
showing that you can be successful in sales without resorting to deceit. It's about honesty, empathy, hard work.
That's nice. Refreshing to see a film highlighting those values.
Yeah.
But let's get back to talking about the consequences of dishonesty.
Uh-huh.
What happens when salespeople prioritize hitting those targets over telling the truth?
Well, the consequences can be far-reaching.
Okay.
The most immediate impact is the erosion of trust.
Right.
Once that trust is broken between a salesperson and a client, it's really difficult to rebuild.
It's like Humpty Dumpty. Once he falls, it's tough to put all the pieces back together again.
Exactly. And when trust is lost, reputations suffer.
Yeah.
This can damage both the individual salesperson's reputation and the company they represent.
And ultimately, it's the customer who suffers the most.
Absolutely. Customers might end up with a product or service that doesn't meet their needs
Oh,
or live up to the promises that were made.
right.
They're going to feel cheated and misled
Yeah.
and understandably reluctant to do business with that company again.
It's a lose-lose situation for
Yeah.
everyone involved.
Exactly.
But this is why I think Rohit's approach is so intriguing.
Okay.
He doesn't just dwell on the problems. He offers a solution. Tell me more about this soul of sales antidote.
Okay.
What's he proposing?
Well, he introduces what he calls the 9 universal laws for ethical and successful selling.
Okay.
And these aren't just, you know, vague feel-good principles.
Right.
They're practical guidelines based on his years of experience in the field.
Okay, give us a little sneak peek of these laws. What are they all about?
Well, we have awareness, acceptance, compassion, passion, assertiveness, gratitude, value, communication, and rejection.
Wow, that's quite a list.
Yeah,
And each of these plays a crucial role in transforming how we approach sales.
absolutely.
So it's about moving beyond that transactional mindset.
And actually, Rohit prefers the term mind flow,
Mind flow.
to mindset, which
Yeah.
he feels has become a bit of a buzzword.
Right. Okay, so mind flow.
So mind flow is about going beyond simply closing deals and really focusing on building genuine, long-lasting connections with clients.
Right.
And these laws offer guidance on how to do that in an ethical and sustainable way.
I love that. It's about bringing those qualities.
Yeah,
And approaching sales with integrity.
absolutely. And you know what's fascinating?
What's that?
Is how Rohit emphasizes integrating these universal laws not just into our sales techniques, but into life itself.
Okay.
He challenges us to bring awareness, compassion, integrity into all our interactions,
Right.
not just those with clients.
It's like he's saying to be a good salesperson, you need to be a good human.
Exactly. And that message really resonates with people who are looking for more meaning and purpose in their work.
Okay, so let's unpack these 9 laws one by one.
Okay.
To make this really practical, let's use examples from those articles and research you compiled.
Sounds good.
So, starting with awareness.
Yeah.
What does awareness mean in the context of sales?
So Rohit explains that awareness in sales goes beyond simply recognizing opportunities. It's about deeply understanding your client's needs, prioritizing excellent service.
So, shifting the focus from the transaction to the relationship.
Yes, you're spot on.
Right.
It's about moving away from that quick sale mentality
Right.
and embracing this idea of building genuine, long-lasting connections with clients.
Okay, so how would this play out in a real-world sales scenario?
Let's say you're selling software to a small business owner.
Okay.
Instead of just focusing on closing the deal, you take the time to truly understand their business.
Okay.
Ask questions, listen actively, and try to get a sense of their pain points and goals.
So more like a consultant, a problem solver,
Exactly.
rather than just a salesperson.
You're using your awareness to identify how your software can genuinely benefit their business,
Right.
not just how it can make you a commission.
Okay, so that builds trust and credibility.
Absolutely. You're showing them that you're genuinely interested in their success, not just making a quick sale.
Right, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have acceptance.
Okay.
Now, this one feels a bit counterintuitive to me. Isn't sales all about achieving goals and aiming for yeses?
It might seem that way at first.
Yeah.
But Rohit's perspective on acceptance is about acknowledging that failure and rejection
Right.
are inevitable parts of the sales process.
That's not always easy to swallow.
It can be tough, but Rohit's idea is to reframe these setbacks not as defeats,
Okay.
but as opportunities for growth.
Right.
It's about understanding reality,
Yeah.
working with it, not against it.
So it's about developing resilience, being able to bounce back from that rejection and keep moving forward.
Exactly. And Rohit shares some compelling stories about successful salespeople who faced a lot of rejection early on.
Okay.
Zig Ziglar, for example,
Right.
supposedly overcame significant challenges before achieving success.
Right.
His persistence, his ability to learn from those rejections were key factors in his eventual success.
It's nice to know that even the most successful people have faced rejection.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So moving on to the third law, compassion.
Okay. This one seems pretty straightforward. But how does compassion play out in a sales setting?
So compassion in sales is about seeing your clients as human beings, not just potential leads or targets.
Right.
It's about understanding their needs, respecting their viewpoints, and approaching them with genuine empathy and care.
So it's about stepping into their shoes, trying to see things from their perspective.
Yes, and it goes beyond just being polite or friendly. It's about creating a deeper level of connection.
Right.
Recognizing every interaction is an opportunity to make a positive impact, even if it doesn't immediately lead to a sale.
So it's about building those relationships, not just closing deals.
Exactly. And Rohit offers some practical tips for integrating compassion into your sales strategy.
Like what?
Things like deep listening, consistent follow-up. Deep listening allows you to truly understand what your client needs,
Yeah.
where they're coming from.
Right.
And consistent follow-up shows that you are genuinely invested in their success, that you care about their experience. Okay, that brings us to our fourth law. Passion.
Yeah.
A lot of people already associate passion with sales. What's Rohit's take on it?
He emphasizes that passion in sales goes beyond mere enthusiasm. It's about a deep commitment to creating value for your clients and aligning your work with your core values.
So it's not just being excited about your product.
Right.
It's about how your product can really help your clients achieve their goals.
Precisely. And it's about having this genuine belief in what you're offering and being able to communicate that belief in a way that resonates with your clients.
And he introduces a few key concepts here. The unique selling proposition,
Yes.
the unique perceived benefit, and then the features, advantages, benefits framework.
Absolutely.
Can you remind me about those?
Of course. So these are all powerful tools for understanding and communicating the value of your product.
Okay.
So the unique selling proposition, or USP, highlights what makes your offering stand out from the competition. The unique perceived benefit, or UPB, focuses on the customer's perspective. What they see is the most valuable aspect of your product.
Right.
And then the features, advantages, benefits, or FAB framework helps you articulate the connection between your product's features,
Okay.
its advantages, and the ultimate benefits it provides to the customer.
So it's helping your clients understand how your product can solve their problems and help them achieve their goals.
Exactly. It's not just about pushing a product. It's about showing how it can genuinely improve their lives or their businesses.
How does this passion manifest in a sales interaction? Can you give me an example?
Let's say you're selling a new marketing software platform.
Okay.
If you genuinely believe in your product and its ability to help businesses grow, that passion will be evident in your interactions. You'll be enthusiastic about sharing the features and benefits. You'll be eager to answer questions, address concerns, and you'll genuinely want to see your clients succeed using your platform.
So genuine passion can be contagious, persuasive.
Yes, when you believe in what you're selling, it shows.
Right.
And that kind of authenticity can be very persuasive because it builds trust and credibility.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, assertiveness, our fifth law.
Oh.
This one seems a bit tricky. How do you balance assertiveness with respect? Especially in a sales setting where you're trying to persuade someone to buy something.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Rohit's very clear that assertiveness in sales does not mean being aggressive or pushy.
Okay.
It's about confidently stating your position while respecting the client's viewpoint.
Okay.
Being clear and direct in your communication, but also being open to feedback and willing to compromise when it makes sense.
So finding that sweet spot between being too passive and too aggressive.
Yes, it's about advocating for your product without being overbearing or disrespectful.
And I remember he breaks down assertiveness into 4 C's. Clarity, conviction, compassion, and confidence. It's interesting how he incorporates compassion into this, seemingly more forceful quality.
So clarity ensures that your message is easily understood. Conviction demonstrates your belief in your product or service. Compassion shows that you care about the client's needs. And confidence reinforces your expertise and ability to deliver on your promises.
How would you apply these 4 C's in a real-world sales situation?
Let's imagine you're negotiating a contract with a potential client.
Okay.
And they're pushing back on some of the terms, and you need to stand firm on certain points.
Right.
Using assertive communication. You can clearly articulate your position, explain your reasoning, and offer alternative solutions that address their concerns while also protecting your interests.
So being a strong advocate for yourself and your business, but also respecting their needs. Finding a solution that works for everyone.
Exactly. And when you can do that effectively, you're more likely to reach a mutually beneficial agreement.
Okay, moving on to our 6th law, gratitude. This one seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But how does gratitude actually translate into tangible actions in sales?
So gratitude in sales is about acknowledging the time and attention clients give you, regardless of whether or not they end up making a purchase.
So appreciating every interaction.
Yeah.
Even the ones that don't immediately lead to a sale.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that every client is valuable and that their time and attention are gifts, even if they don't buy anything from you right now.
Right. And Rohit offers some practical ways to do this.
Yes.
Like personalize thank you notes, offering rewards for loyalty.
Absolutely. And there's actually research showing that expressing gratitude in business settings can have tangible benefits.
Really? What kind of benefits?
Studies have shown that employees who feel appreciated are more productive and more engaged in their work.
Right.
And customers who feel appreciated are more likely to be loyal and recommend your business to others.
So it's a win-win for everyone.
Exactly. Gratitude is a powerful tool for building strong, positive relationships.
All right, let's move on to our 7th law, which is value.
Okay.
What does Rohit have to say about value?
He emphasizes that value in sales is about so much more than just price.
Okay.
It's about how the customer perceives your offering, the benefits they receive, the problems you solve for them, and the overall experience they have with your company.
So understanding your client's needs and tailoring your approach to demonstrate how your product or service truly meets those needs.
Yes, and Rohit uses some interesting examples to illustrate this concept.
I remember he talks about that supreme brick.
Yes, the supreme brick.
It's just a simple clay brick, but because it has that logo on it, people are willing to pay an insanely high price for it.
Exactly. It's a perfect example of how branding can elevate perceived value.
Yeah.
The brick itself is nothing special,
Right.
but the brand name creates this aura of exclusivity and desirability.
Right. It's amazing how much our perceptions can influence what we're willing to pay.
Absolutely, and Rohit contrasts this with another example.
Yeah.
He talks about Midikool, a non-electric refrigerator made from clay.
Right.
Now, this provides a practical solution for people living in areas without reliable electricity.
Right. So it's not about the price tag. It's about the value that it brings to the customer.
Exactly. And he also discusses how brands like Apple and Samsung have created different perceptions of value in the marketplace.
So Apple is often seen as this premium brand, sleek design, cutting-edge innovation. Whereas Samsung is known more for its technological advancements
Yes.
and a wider range of products at various price points.
Exactly.
So those perceptions influence how customers value their products, what they're willing to pay for them.
Absolutely. And he even brings in the concept of the triune brain.
Oh, yeah.
This idea that our brains have three distinct parts
Okay.
that influence our decision-making.
So how does that apply to sales?
So the reptilian brain is all about survival and instinct. The most primal part of our brains.
Okay.
The limbic brain is all about emotions.
Wow.
And the neocortex is where rational thought happens.
So to be successful in sales, you need to appeal to all three parts of the brain.
Absolutely. You need to address the customer's basic needs, connect with them on an emotional level, and provide logical reasons why your product is the best choice for them.
Okay.
And technology can actually be a helpful tool in this.
Oh, how so?
It can be used to gather data and insights into customer behavior,
Okay.
which can then help you tailor your approach to appeal to their specific needs and preferences.
So it sounds like we're covering a lot of ground here. Is there anything else you want to highlight about this concept of value?
Just to be transparent about your product strengths and limitations.
Right, yeah.
You know, don't overpromise or mislead your clients.
Yeah,
Honesty is always the best policy.
absolutely. Okay, let's move on to the eighth law,
Okay.
communication.
Okay.
Now, this one seems pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to hear what nuances Rohit highlights.
Yeah. He emphasizes that communication in sales is about so much more than just talking about your product.
Okay.
It's about building rapport, creating connections, and fostering trust.
So being a good listener, being empathetic,
Yeah.
adapting your communication style to different clients.
Exactly. And Rohit brings up some really interesting concepts, like the importance of understanding cultural nuances.
Yes, he talks about bowing in Japan as a way of showing respect, and how direct eye contact can be seen as aggressive in some Asian cultures.
Those are great examples.
Yeah.
So important to be aware of these cultural differences when communicating with clients from diverse backgrounds.
Right, because what might be considered polite in one culture could be considered rude in another.
Exactly.
What about internal dialogue? How does the way we talk to ourselves impact our ability to communicate with others?
That's a really crucial point. You know, if we're constantly putting ourselves down or doubting our abilities,
Yeah.
that's going to come through in our interactions with clients.
Right. It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right, we need to fill our own cups
Exactly.
with positive self-talk and self-belief to communicate effectively with others.
Absolutely. And Rohit also talks about the power of vocals, words, and visuals, what he calls the VWV of communication.
So how you use your voice, the words you choose,
Yeah.
and your body language.
You got it. And he breaks down each element and provides practical tips for using them effectively.
Okay.
So, for example, using a well-modulated voice can convey confidence and authority. Choosing clear and concise language can make your message easy to understand.
Right.
And using confident body language can reinforce your message and build trust.
Right. So it's all about creating that synergy between your verbal and nonverbal communication.
Exactly. And Rohit also highlights the importance of understanding that different people communicate in different ways.
Okay.
And he brings up the VAK model, visual, auditory, and kinesthetic.
Remind me what that stands for.
So the VAK model suggests that people have different preferences for how they receive and process information. Some people are more visual learners.
Right.
Some are more auditory learners. And some are more kinesthetic learners.
So if you're trying to build rapport with a client, It's helpful to identify their preferred communication style
Absolutely.
and tailor your approach accordingly.
For example, if you're dealing with a visual learner, you might want to use more visuals in your presentations or proposals. If you're dealing with an auditory learner, you might want to focus more on your tone of voice and the words you choose.
Right.
And if you're dealing with a kinesthetic learner, you might want to incorporate more hands-on activities or demonstrations.
So it's about making them feel comfortable and engaged.
Exactly.
And then finally, Rohit touches on Aristotle's modes of persuasion: ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos is about credibility. Pathos is about appealing to emotions.
Yes.
And logos is about logic and reasoning.
Absolutely. And effective communication in sales involves striking a balance between these three elements.
Okay.
You need to establish your credibility, connect with your clients on an emotional level, and provide logical reasons why your product or service is the best choice.
So it's all about creating that compelling and persuasive message.
Yes.
That resonates on multiple levels.
Exactly.
Okay, and now on to our ninth and final law.
Yeah.
Rejection.
Okay.
It's something all salespeople have to face at some point. I'm curious how Rohit reframes this often dreaded experience.
Well, he emphasizes that rejection is an inevitable part of sales and that it doesn't have to be a negative experience.
So it's about shifting our perspective and viewing rejection as a learning opportunity.
Exactly.
Why
It's
not?
about seeing each, no, not as a personal failure, but as a step closer to a yes.
I like that.
Yeah,
It's about being persistent and not giving up after a few setbacks.
exactly.
Yeah.
And, he actually shares a really interesting perspective on rejection. He says, rejection is a divine intervention and redirection towards something much more beautiful, bolder, and brighter beyond your imagination.
Wow, that's beautiful. Trusting that everything happens for a reason. That rejection might be guiding us towards a better path.
Absolutely.
Okay, so practically, how can we apply this concept of rejection?
Well, Rohit provides a really helpful framework for navigating rejection.
Okay.
So he suggests reframing rejection as feedback.
So instead of seeing it as a no,
Mm-hmm.
you see it as an opportunity to learn and grow.
Exactly. And then preparing yourself mentally for rejection so it doesn't hit you as hard.
That's so important.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people take rejection personally.
It's natural.
Yeah, especially in sales.
But if you can reframe it as a learning opportunity, it can be much less discouraging.
So preparing mentally, reframing as feedback. What else?
He also recommends analyzing past interactions to identify patterns. So maybe there are certain approaches that consistently lead to rejection.
Right, so you can adjust your approach to be more effective.
Exactly.
Okay.
And finally, he suggests seeking feedback from mentors and colleagues.
Right.
They might be able to offer insights that you haven't considered.
Okay, so it's a multi-pronged approach. Being prepared, seeking feedback, analyzing what went wrong, viewing rejection as a stepping stone rather than a roadblock.
Exactly. And he reminds us that many successful salespeople and entrepreneurs have faced tons of rejection along the way.
It's like that saying, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts.
Well said.
So we've now covered all 9 of Rohit's universal laws
Yeah.
for ethical and successful selling.
Yes.
But of course, he doesn't stop there.
No.
He goes on to apply these laws to specific stages of the sales process, right?
That's right. He introduces what he calls the Trinity 3C sales cycle.
Okay, and this cycle is broken down into 3 stages: connect, convince, and continue.
Exactly. And it provides this practical framework for integrating those 9 laws into your sales approach.
Okay, so let's take a deep dive into this Trinity sales cycle.
Okay.
How do these 9 laws come to life in each stage?
Let's start with the connect stage,
Right.
which is all about building rapport, establishing trust, and understanding the client's needs.
So making that initial connection
Yeah.
and laying the foundation for a strong, authentic relationship.
Exactly. And Rohit provides specific examples of how to apply the 9 laws in this stage.
Give me an example of how we might see these laws in action.
So, for example, you can use awareness to do your research and prepare for interactions with the client.
Oh, cool.
Look into their company, their industry, and their specific challenges.
The more you know about your client, the better you can tailor your approach.
Exactly.
And demonstrate you understand their needs.
Exactly. And then you can use acceptance to approach each interaction with an open mind and a willingness to learn.
So be curious and open to what they have to say, even if it's not what you expect.
Absolutely. And then there's compassion.
Okay.
You can use it to listen actively and demonstrate empathy. Really try to understand where they're coming from and what's important to them.
Right, and passion. If you genuinely believe in your product and how it can help your client, that's going to shine through.
It can be contagious.
Okay.
Yes.
He also emphasizes asking open-ended questions at this stage.
Yes. It's about going beyond the surface level and really digging into what motivates your client, what their concerns are, and what their hopes and dreams are.
Can you give me a real-world scenario how this might play out?
Let's say you're selling a new CRM system to a retail company.
Okay.
Before you go into your meeting, you research current retail trends and challenges.
Okay.
You might read articles, watch webinars, or even talk to people in the industry to get a sense of what retailers are facing.
Right.
And then during the meeting, you ask open-ended questions about their experience with online and in-store integration. Listen carefully to their answers, trying to understand their pain points and goals.
Right.
And finally, use your awareness of the retail industry to identify potential problems they might be facing and offer tailored solutions.
So you're demonstrating your knowledge and genuine interest in helping them solve their problems.
Yes. And by doing so, you're building trust and credibility right from the start.
Right. Okay, let's move on to the second stage. Convince. What happens in this stage?
So this stage is all about presenting your solution.
Okay.
Persuading the client that your product or service is the best choice for them.
So showcasing the value and addressing any concerns they might have.
Exactly. And Rohit provides specific examples of how to apply those 9 laws during this stage.
Like what?
For example, you could use passion
Oh,
to create engaging presentations and tell compelling stories that highlight the impact of your product.
Okay.
You know, don't just list features.
Right.
Show how those features translate into real-world benefits.
So instead of saying, our software has X feature, you might say, our software helped company Y increase their sales by 20%.
Precisely. You want to make it tangible and relatable.
What about assertiveness? How does that come into play here?
You can use assertiveness to confidently communicate the value of your offering while respecting the client's viewpoint.
Okay.
Remember, it's about being clear and direct without being aggressive or pushy.
So believing in your product, but not steamrolling the client.
Exactly. And then there's value.
Okay.
You need to ensure that the client understands both the tangible and intangible benefits of your product or service.
So painting a complete picture of the value they'll receive.
Yes, it's not just about the features or the price.
Okay.
It's about the overall experience and the positive impact your product can have on their business or their life.
Okay, can you give me a real-world scenario for the convince stage too?
Let's say you're presenting a new healthcare management software to a hospital.
Okay.
Now, to showcase the value and impact of your product, you might share a story about how another hospital used your software to reduce patient wait times.
That's a compelling example, especially for a hospital administrator.
Yes.
Concerned with patient satisfaction.
Absolutely. And you could also include things like data visualizations and testimonials from satisfied users.
Right.
Data can be very persuasive.
Okay.
And testimonials provide that social proof that your product actually works.
Right.
And then to really seal the deal, you can give a live demo of the software in action.
Combining your passion with tangible evidence that your product is effective.
Absolutely.
And really persuade them that your solution is the right choice.
Exactly. You're telling a story that resonates with them emotionally and backing it up with facts and proof.
Okay, so that brings us to the final stage of the Trinity sales cycle. Continue.
Oh, okay.
What's the focus here?
The continue stage is all about maintaining the relationship with the client after the sale. It's about ensuring their satisfaction, providing ongoing support, and building a long-term partnership.
So going beyond the transaction and focusing on building a lasting connection.
Exactly. And this is where gratitude plays a crucial role.
Okay.
It's about expressing your appreciation for their business and showing them that you're genuinely invested in their success, even after they've signed on the dotted line.
It's so important because you don't want them to feel like they're just a number.
Exactly. You want them to feel valued and appreciated.
Right.
And Rohit suggests some practical ways to do this, like sending personalized thank you notes, offering loyalty rewards, providing ongoing communication and support.
Those are all great ways to show you care.
Yeah.
That you're in it for the long haul. What about communication in this stage?
So communication is still crucial in this stage.
Okay.
It's about maintaining clear and consistent communication, being responsive to the client's needs, and addressing any concerns they might have.
Right, because even after they've bought your product, They might have questions or need additional support.
Absolutely.
And being there for them
Yeah.
solidifies that relationship.
Exactly.
And of course, even in this stage, there's a potential for rejection.
That's true.
Okay.
Even after you've closed the deal,
Yeah.
there might be times when the client is unhappy
Okay.
or requests something that you can't provide.
Mm.
They might ask for a discount
Oh.
or request features that don't exist or
Yeah.
even threaten to take their business elsewhere.
So it's about using those moments as opportunities to learn, to improve, to further strengthen the relationship,
Absolutely.
even if it means having some difficult conversations.
You got it. It's about turning those challenging situations into positive outcomes.
Right.
And you can use those 9 laws to navigate these situations with grace and integrity.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive
We have.
into Rohit's Soul of Sales.
But there's still so much more to explore.
Yeah, there is, because he doesn't just stop with the 9 laws
Oh.
and the Trinity sales cycle.
Right.
He applies these principles to other crucial aspects of sales, like handling objections
Yeah.
and negotiating effectively.
Exactly.
So we're going to have to save those for the next part of our deep dive.
I'm looking forward to it.
We've been uncovering some really insightful concepts from Rohit's Soul of Sales.
Yeah.
It's remarkable how he shifts our whole understanding of what it means to be in sales.
Absolutely. And, one of the most striking things for me is that emphasis he puts on integrity.
Okay.
It's kind of woven throughout the book. It influences every principle and strategy he talks about.
It feels like it's at the core of his whole philosophy.
It absolutely is. He believes that integrity is non-negotiable.
Okay.
It's the foundation for building trust.
Right.
And without trust, you can't build those strong, lasting relationships that are so crucial in sales.
Right. And he argues that selling with integrity isn't just the right thing to do. It's also the smartest thing to do from a business perspective.
Precisely. When you're honest and transparent with clients, when you genuinely have their best interests at heart,
Right.
you build a level of trust and credibility that just can't be faked.
And that leads to loyalty, repeat business,
Right.
positive referrals,
Exactly.
all those things that are essential for long-term success.
It's a much more sustainable and fulfilling way to approach sales than just trying to close deals at any cost.
Right. And speaking of walking away, Rohit talks about knowing when to walk away from a deal that's not the right fit.
Yeah.
And that can be a tough call for some salespeople,
They can.
especially when they're feeling the pressure to hit those targets.
But he frames it in a way that's really empowering and insightful.
Okay.
He doesn't see it as failure.
Okay.
He sees it as an act of self-respect and integrity.
So it's about honoring your values and not compromising them just to make a sale.
Exactly. And it's about recognizing that not every deal is a good deal.
Okay.
Sometimes walking away is the best decision for both you and the client.
And he even gives some practical advice
He does.
for handling those situations gracefully and professionally.
Yes. He encourages salespeople to be clear and assertive in their communication, but still respectful of the client's perspective.
Okay.
He even provides some sample scripts.
I love those scripts.
Yeah.
Because it can be tough to know what to say in those situations.
They can be so helpful.
And having those phrases can make all the difference.
They really can. And they ensure that you are communicating clearly and respectfully.
And he makes the point that walking away doesn't have to mean burning bridges.
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
It's about being honest and transparent with the client, explaining, why the deal isn't a good fit at this time.
Right.
But you leave that door open for potential future collaboration.
Oh, okay.
If things change.
So it's not rejecting the client.
Right.
It's rejecting the specific deal.
Exactly. And that kind of honesty and transparency can actually build respect and trust.
Right.
Even if the deal doesn't go through.
Okay, so let's talk about this idea of sales as a noble profession.
Okay.
I think a lot of people have this negative stereotype of salespeople being pushy, manipulative, or just in it for themselves.
I think Rohit rejects that stereotype completely.
Okay.
He sees it as this incredible opportunity to connect with people, build relationships,
Right.
and make a positive impact on the world.
And he talks about,
He does.
prioritizing helpfulness over salesmanship,
Yes.
being resilient under pressure, embracing integrity,
Absolutely.
those qualities.
He does.
That's the hallmark of a true sales professional.
Exactly. Someone who's not just in it for the commission,
Right.
but genuinely invested in helping their clients succeed.
Right, so shifting that focus from making a sale to making a difference.
Exactly, and he reminds us that at its core, sales is about service.
Okay.
It's about understanding your clients' needs and providing solutions that genuinely make their lives or businesses better.
And viewing yourself as a trusted advisor?
Yes.
Rather than just a vendor.
A partner who's there to guide and support their clients. Not just through that initial sale, but through that whole customer life cycle.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Rohit's Soul of Sales, what for you are some of the key takeaways that listeners should consider?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that idea of shifting our perspective on sales, moving away from that transactional mindset, and embracing a more holistic, human-centered approach.
So it's about recognizing that sales is about building relationships, creating value, not just closing deals.
Exactly. And that involves bringing our whole selves to the work. Our awareness, our compassion, our passion, our integrity.
Being authentic, building trust. Fostering those genuine connections.
Absolutely. And remembering that sales isn't a zero-sum game.
I love that.
We can achieve our goals while also helping our clients achieve theirs.
Like we're all in this together.
We are.
I think another crucial takeaway is embracing rejection.
Yes.
Not as a personal failure, but as a learning opportunity.
Absolutely. Developing resilience.
Right.
The ability to bounce back from setbacks.
Without losing momentum.
And trusting that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
That rejection might be guiding us towards something better.
Even if we can't see it right now.
Exactly.
And finally, I think highlighting the importance of continuous learning and growth. Rohit gives all these practical tools and frameworks.
He does.
But he encourages us to keep learning, keep experimenting, keep refining our approach.
Yeah. The best salespeople are the ones who are always striving to improve.
Okay, so as we come to the end of our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with this thought. Think about how you can apply these principles.
Yeah.
Not just in your work life, but your personal life as well.
These laws aren't just for salespeople.
Right.
They're for everyone. They're about being better humans, creating more meaningful connections with the people around us, and living a life of purpose and integrity.
That's a message I think we can all benefit from.
We can.
So whether you're in sales or not, I hope you've been inspired by Rohit's insights.
Yeah.
And I encourage you to explore his work further.
Absolutely.
You won't be disappointed.
You won't.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Rohit's Soul of Sales.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you found it enlightening and inspiring.
Yes.
Until next time, happy selling.